Hello, welcome to a YouTube video. Today I wanted to make a quick video just talking about one of what I think is probably the most underrated Premiere Pro, DaVinci, every other platform underneath the sun, Lightroom, Photoshop plugins. Now, in full transparency, yes, this video is sponsored by the plugin, but I wouldn't have chose to work with these guys if I didn't believe in their sort of like project, their vision on the creative sector, and if it wasn't something that I use in a professional and in a passion project setting. So excuse the booky setup. I didn't really want to make a video just like this. I wanted to actually go out in the field and create something, but in true British fashion, it's been horrible weather. I've been really busy with freelance work that just doesn't quite add into the Dehancer style just yet. The clients are not on board with the beautiful film emulation that I love. But over the last sort of 4 months, I've been using this plugin quite religiously, so it's nice to be able to sort of show this off on YouTube and create this video for the guys to hopefully to inspire some more people to purchase it, or even just to take a look at it. So without further ado, now most people have seen this Bamford Edge DJI Avatar and Action 2 video I created, which is over on my Instagram, so shameless plug for Derbyshire Goon over on Instagram. And we'll quickly go to the first sequence. It's a flight, a morning of the Peak Districts with Derbyshire. I will quickly mute the audio tracks, but if I quickly skim through it, you will. It's a very raw and kind of like, I guess, a off the cuff video with. Again, I'm switching over to Mac. Can you tell why? That's also one of the reasons why this video is off the cuff. Is that the setup I'm currently on is not my ideal setup at the minute. I'm moving back over to Mac. This is my Windows machine, but I digress. So this is Bamford Edge up in the Peak Districts, and iPhone and DJI Action 2 footage, all color graded actually with Dehancer. Obviously, there's some involuntary film burns and film gates over the top of it, but you would have seen the video by now. If not, I'll try and overlay the video now, or at the start of the video and at the end. And if you want to go over again to the Instagram to see it, you can do. So you've got a rough idea of what we're looking at today. In particular, today we're going to be looking at a few stills from probably the DJI section and then the actual Action 2 section here. So shooting in decently light, you can see it's quite flat. Again, in the true Peak District fashion, you can have every single sort of weather under the sun in the next, the 5 minutes. But a quick tutorial then on how I'd use Dehancer. So very cheap, very dirty, and we're all in love with the film emulation. If you say you're not in love with film emulation, I don't want to talk to you. You are not my friend. So for the purpose of this, we're on a 1080p timeline shooting with a 4K clip. So we're scaled out to 50%. Go ahead and create an adjustment layer and go over to your effects panel. At this point, you would have already installed Dehancer. There is plenty of information online how to install it, so I'm not going to go into that. This is literally me showing off my workflow for a quick, easy, I'll use the term dirty, Dehancer plugin tutorial. Now, if I'm going to use this on a passion project for myself, I want to get... there's two ways I film passion projects. In one of them, it's I want them out quick as possible. I want to run home. I want to edit them. I want them out as quick as possible. I don't really want to faff too much. If it's like a long form documentary or something I'm working on, then yeah, cool. But if it's iPhone footage and it's just something to go on my socials, like this is how I normally use Dehancer. In a professional setting, it's a little bit different, and maybe I do cover that in a different video. But for this is just how I'd use it for a social setting. Very similar to, I think, how I've heard Austin Oggy originally use Dehancer. He does use this plugin too. So when you've installed it, go ahead and type Dehancer and you'll see the Dehancer plugin. Mine does need updating. Go ahead and go to your input. Now, Dehancer naturally, obviously you can see here, will put the film emulation over the top of it. Awesome. Some people are happy with that straight away. And to be honest with you, I think it's Kodak Vision 3 that it puts on there, which is used quite regularly in Hollywood films. But it will convert the footage, so it's currently converting it to Rec 79 with film. And if I go ahead and take the film off, you see it's already converted it from I guess a flatter image to a more film-esque like. But we're going to go Rec 709. We're going to choose camera. Now, I originally didn't think the DJI Avatar, the DJI Action 2 had a profile. And I think it does. There we go. See, look at the, I mean, to me, I can see the difference straight away just in the contrast, like even from a flat image to a normal one. So for me, that's quick and dirty. You can go ahead and mess with the exposure compensation, tint, dehinge, and all this. I tend to leave this alone if it's just for cheap, dirty, easy social media content. This is aimed at that. So if you are one of those creators, content creators, who just wants to get the footage out there, it just wants to record something, pull it together, throw it an almost film-like, because it is a film emulation, film-like aesthetic straight over it, and bang it up on Instagram, then this is definitely for you. Now, they have hundreds of film stocks, and I believe you can actually request more from them, and we'll try and add them. In particular, I do really like the Vision 3 250D, but I also like the, is it the Afghan or CineStills? So CineStills are what I use a lot for photos, and the Agfa, I'm going to butcher that pronunciation, but that film stock, I've used that quite regular. Let's go ahead and take a look at 50D. Did that change? It did. Don't seem to do much. Yeah, there's not much going on there with that. Oh, this will be right. I've not enabled it. There we go. 80T and 50D. Let's have a look. See, I sway towards more the dirty stuff, so 50D is what I'd enjoy. But let's go ahead and show you some more. What's quite a popular film stock. Portrait, quite popular. There you go. Again, this clip's probably a really bad example. This clip's quite dull. What's also another great example. Ilford HP5. I've shot in black and white quite regular, so that's an example of a black and white film stock. We're gonna go back to the Kodak Vision 3 250D. I quite like that dark raw aesthetic. And if I just go into my Lumetri panel quickly. I think I've got the panels open. My workspaces. Again, do you know when you're so used to using Mac for the last, like, I don't know, 6 months, coming back to Windows machine is incredibly hard. I'm just going to bump this exposure. Just so I can see what we're working with. Okay. Back to the adjustment layer, and then back to our Dehancer plugin. So, film developer, I don't tend to touch, I don't tend to mess with it at all, to be honest with you. Film compression, again, I don't tend to mess. Now, this is what people have been looking for at the minute. Film grain, halation, and bloom is what most people will be looking for from a film emulation standpoint, for that quick, dirty, easy, and cheap film look. So, if I go to film grain, you've got hundreds of choice here between. If I take it on and off, you'll see the difference straight away. I mean, in particular, if you look in this top left hand corner here, you can see the film grain straight away. And that added with film damage, you can see, if I go to full, it might not play because this machine is having the fritz. You can see almost, I mean, it's giving that film emulation, and you can't, that's so hard to replicate without having a plugin like Dehancer. So I really do, and I'm a massive fan of this sort of style, this aesthetic, and you'll see it used quite regularly across photos and video on my platform. And again, you can lower that between different ISOs, so you can go for ISO 50, it'll be a little bit less, but I kind of like the 250, so we'll go 250. Halation, now, again, it's a tasteful thing, halation and bloom, it's a very tasteful thing. If I click it on, you'll see that it almost gives it that retro tinge straight away across the head. You look at my bold receding headline, you can almost see it there. And if I go ahead and play it, it's quite intensive halation on the processing bar, so I'm not sure if it'll 100% give us a nice playback, but we'll. I mean, I'm not moving much because I'm piloting the DJI Vita 2, but you can still see the halation and bloom on top. So I'll leave it on for the purpose of this. Bloom will it will blow out the highlights and give it that sort of dreamy aesthetic look. So again, if I turn it on, you can kind of see it, especially across my shadows here. On my corner, you can see the and even on the white here, and it gives it that film-like look. You are getting a film stock image from a video, which again is so hard to replicate without having a plugin like Dehancer. And that's what I'm trying to come across here, is that to have a plugin that does all the heavy lifting for you, and you can focus on the storytelling or the creating, is such an important tool for me. Again, we're just going to wreck this clip with plugins and plugins and plugins, but I really like this film aesthetic. So if you can, again, bloom is going to disable bloom quickly. Like, that's so hard to replicate. So yeah, it blows me away every time I use it, and it needs to be used tastefully in a stylized way. I wouldn't just be doing this for client work, but in the purpose of showing the plugin off, then it's completely different. Film damage you can enable. Film damage again is another one of those things. If I enable this now, you'll see it might be quite hard to see and replicate, but if I go ahead and play the clip, you'll almost see like scans, there you go, glitches that are coming into it, and that's so hard. You see the top left and there. That's so hard to replicate. Even if you were to replicate that sort of effect and that, you are scouring the internet for overlay footage, and your timeline becomes crammed with all this. Yeah, it's a mess. You don't need it. With Dehancer, this film damage also comes included. So you've got the choice between Super 8, 16, Super 35, and 60mm. I can turn it off for now. It's something that's stylized if you like. What I really like is the overscans. I think the overscans are amazing. They're such a cool, like, to be able to have this built into a program is so bloody cool. You don't have to mess around with, if I went back to my actual Bamford Edge and find the actual sequence, you'll see, in fact, you don't have to show you the sequence. You can see here, prior to this, I was using the Kodak Porter mats. Now, these are already built in to this plugin, and that's what I'm making you transparent here. These are built into that plugin. You haven't got to mess with it. So you could almost do something like, if we go ahead and remove the gates, and then we clip this off here, and we go back into it. Oh, sorry, wrong thing. I didn't mean to clip I meant to clip the adjustment layer, not the actual clip. We go back into it, and we go down to the film gates, and we just enable them, and you'll see you can go from like a standard footage. You can see the avatar just taking off in the corner there, which is hilarious. Is it coming into land? It's going to take off. There we go. And then it splits into adjustment. Yeah, you'll see it go straight into the gate now. And as you see the avatar fly away. Now that's such a cool feature to have without, again, having to scour the internet for hours to try and find that type of footage. And you can go into there and change absolutely everything from the way the gates look, negatives, off-rounded. You can have them off. You can have them positive gates. Yeah, there's so many. You can even flip it. There's so many cool things you can have in there. I'm going to have it and just disable the overscanning gates. Monitor, I don't really tend to touch, to be honest with you. Output, I don't tend to touch. Vignette, maybe. I don't really use vignette at all. Even like photography, I don't really use much of a vignette to the disagreement of most of the internet. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much Dehancer. Now, I want to do a couple of videos on this. I want this to be almost just a version 1 of how I would edit a quick, dirty, easy and cheap social media clip using the Dehancer plugin. In the next upcoming video, once I've finished moving my full setup and I've got the Mac back up and running in my current environment, and the UK weather's better, I know I'm making a lot of excuses here, would be then to use this in a real world scenario. And I actually went out and shot a video with the XE2, which again, if you're on my social media, you'll know I had a bit of a palaver with the XE2, with the DJI avatar as the POV on the motorcycle, shooting photos in the peak district with the XE2, and the XE2 broke on me, and that was my video I was going to shoot with or for Dehancer. So nevertheless, this is a part 1 of a 3-part series of showing off the Dehancer plugin. Again, so sorry it's been more of a tutorial focused thing and how I'd use it for a social media clip. Maybe I should do one how I'd use it for my current freelance work. That'd be a quite interesting comparison. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Thank you so much, Dehancer, for sponsoring this video. There will be 2 other videos with Dehancer that I'm going to be talking about the different versions of it. Again, I'll show a video of why I use it in a professional setting, and then we'll create a Dehancer video actually out in the wild once the weather becomes a little bit better here in the UK. So thank you very much. I've been Derbyshire Goon, and that has been why I think Dehancer is the best and easiest plugin for Premiere Pro.